Admiral Zextal stood at the bridge of the Imperial scout ship Destiny's Edge his four eyes fixed on the blue-green planet displayed on the main screen. Earth looked so peaceful, so unaware of what was coming. Like all the other worlds the Empire had conquered, this one too would soon learn its place in the greater galaxy. "Status report," he commanded, his scaled fingers tapping rhythmically on the control panel. Lieutenant Vex approached with a tablet. "Sir, initial scans show a primitive civilization. They've barely reached their own moon. Their most advanced weapons are chemical-based projectiles and crude nuclear devices." Zextal smiled. Another easy conquest. The Empire had done this hundreds of times before. Find developing worlds just before they discovered faster-than-light travel, then subjugate them while they were still vulnerable. It was almost routine by now. "Prepare the standard ultimatum," he ordered. "Let's get this over with." "Sir," a young technician's voice cut through the quiet bridge. "There's something strange in these readings." Zextal walked over to the technician's station, annoyed at the interruption. "What is it?" "I'm detecting traces of quantum manipulation technology. But that's impossible. They shouldn't have this capability for at least another century." The Admiral's antenna twitched, a sign of concern among his species. "Show me." The display lit up with a complex network of energy signatures. They were faint, carefully hidden, but unmistakably there. Someone on Earth was playing with quantum physics at a level far beyond their supposed capabilities. "Sir, there's more," another officer called out. "Look at their orbital space." The screen shifted to show Earth's orbit. It was cluttered with what appeared to be satellites and debris. Thousands of pieces of metal and technology spinning in seemingly random patterns. But something about it bothered Zextal. After 300 years in the Imperial fleet, he had learned to trust his instincts. Run a pattern analysis on that debris field. The computer worked for several minutes before displaying its results. Zextal's scales paled slightly. The debris wasn't random at all. It formed an intricate network, too perfect to be accidental. "Launch 3 probe drones," he ordered. "Let's get a closer look at." He never finished the sentence. The moment the probes crossed an invisible line near Earth's moon, they simply vanished. No explosion, no debris. They were there 1 second, and gone the next. The bridge fell silent. "Sir," Lieutenant Vex whispered, "that's never happened before. None of our previous conquest targets have ever." "Because they weren't supposed to see us coming." Zextal finished the thought. He walked back to the main viewport, studying Earth with new eyes. This changes everything. He noticed things he had missed before. The way the orbital debris shifted slightly whenever they moved their ship. The occasional energy spike from the planet's dark side that their sensors couldn't quite identify. The complete absence of any alien signals being detected by Earth's public radio telescopes, as if something was blocking them. "Sir, should we proceed with the ultimatum?" Vex asked. Zextal raised his hand, silencing the lieutenant. Something was very wrong here. In all his years serving the Empire, he had never encountered a pre-FTL civilization with quantum technology. Never seen a debris field that could make Imperial probes vanish without a trace. Never felt so strongly that he was missing something obvious. No ultimatum, he decided. Not yet. First, we need to understand what we're really dealing with here. Because one thing is clear. He turned to face his crew, all 4 eyes narrowed in concentration. These humans are not what they appear to be. Admiral Zextal was preparing to send a message to Imperial Command when Lieutenant Vex burst onto the bridge, his scales almost white with shock. "Admiral, Earth, they're broadcasting to us." "What?" Zextal spun around. "That's impossible. Our ships are cloaked. They shouldn't even know we're here." "Sir, you need to see this." The main screen flickered to life. Instead of the primitive television broadcasts they'd been monitoring, this was a direct transmission to their ship. The video quality was perfect, too perfect for a supposedly primitive civilization. The video showed a massive asteroid floating in space, easily twice the size of their flagship. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then a small device, barely visible against the black of space, activated near the asteroid. There was no explosion, no beam of energy. The asteroid simply came apart. It didn't break or shatter. Instead, it separated into its basic particles, spreading out into a fine cosmic dust that sparkled in the starlight. The bridge crew watched in complete silence. Next, the video showed a set of coordinates, a location in a nearby uninhabited solar system. Below it was a message in perfect Imperial Standard language. "We've been watching. We've been preparing. We suggest you choose your next move carefully." "How?" Lieutenant Vex whispered. "How do they know our language?" Zextal didn't answer. He was too busy thinking about what he'd just seen. The Empire had powerful weapons, but nothing that could break down matter at the molecular level so precisely. Nothing that could do it so cleanly. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving data files from Earth." "Show me." The screen filled with images and videos. They showed humans throughout their history, but not the version Zextal had studied in preparation for this mission. These images showed subtle hints of advanced technology hidden in plain sight. A failed experiment from 50 years ago that actually demonstrated quantum tunneling. A satellite malfunction that had really been a test of their particle dispersion technology. A space cleanup mission that had actually placed another layer of their orbital defense network. They've been hiding, Zextal realized. All this time, they'd been deliberately hiding their true capabilities. "Admiral," Vex said quietly, "no species has ever. I mean, we've conquered hundreds of worlds, and none of them ever saw us coming," Zextal finished. "But Earth did. They've known about us for decades, maybe longer, and instead of announcing themselves to the galaxy, they chose to wait, to prepare, to let us think they were an easy target." A junior officer spoke up from his station. "Sir, what do we do?" "The standard protocol when a species resists is to launch an immediate attack. But they've just shown us they can turn our flagship into dust," Zextal said. "No, there's something else happening here, something bigger than a simple conquest mission." He studied the coordinates Earth had sent, an uninhabited system, far from any Imperial worlds, a neutral location for a meeting. They weren't asking for surrender or making threats. They were inviting dialogue, but from a position of carefully demonstrated strength. "Plot a course to those coordinates," Zextal ordered. "But first, send a message to Imperial Command. Tell them," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "tell them we encountered something unprecedented. A species that doesn't need to show off its power to prove its strength. A species that has mastered the art of patience." As the Destiny's Edge changed course, Zextal watched Earth grow smaller on the view screen. For the first time in his 300-year career, he felt something he'd never experienced before: respect for a target world. The Imperial Archives ship Knowledge Seeker was the pride of the Empire's research fleet. Its massive databases contained information about every civilization the Empire had encountered. Now, its powerful computers were focused on one task: understanding Earth. Chief Researcher Mira Lin stared at her screens with all three of her eyes wide open. After 3 days of non-stop analysis, she had finally found a pattern. She needed to tell Admiral Zextal immediately. "Admiral," she said when he answered her urgent call, "you need to see this. The humans, they've been playing a very long game." Zextal walked over to her station, his scaled feet making soft sounds on the metallic floor. "Show me." Mira Lin pulled up a timeline of Earth's technological development. "Look here, sir." Every major breakthrough they announced publicly was prepared years in advance. Take their first moon landing. Before they did it, they had already secretly developed materials that would be needed for deep space travel, materials they claimed to discover decades later. She switched to another screen. "And their quantum technology. They didn't just stumble upon it recently. They've had it for at least 50 years. They just kept it hidden, wrapped up in failed experiments and abandoned research projects. 50 years. Zextal's antenna twitched. That's impossible. No civilization could keep such advances secret for so long. Their people would talk. Information would leak. Miralyn shook her head. That's the brilliant part, sir. They didn't keep it completely secret. They hid it in plain sight. Look at their entertainment media. She played clips from what humans called science fiction movies, shows about space travel, advanced technology, and alien invasions. They put their real technological advances into their fiction. If anyone accidentally discovered something, people would just think it was inspired by these stories. Clever, Zextal muttered. Very clever. What about their orbital defense network? Miralyn pulled up images of Earth's space program. Every piece of space junk they put into orbit had a purpose. What looked like failed satellites were really sensor platforms. Dead communication arrays were actually quantum entanglement nodes. Even their primitive space station was broadcasting false signals to hide its true capabilities. She turned to face the Admiral. Sir, this goes beyond clever. The humans weren't just hiding their advances. They were building a complete defensive system while making it look like they were stumbling through their first steps into space. Zextal studied the data carefully. In his 3 centuries of service, he had never seen anything like this. Most species rushed to show off their technological achievements. They built bigger weapons, faster ships, more impressive cities. But humans had done the opposite. There's more, sir, Miralyn said quietly. We found evidence that they detected our scout ships 20 years ago. 20 years. Zextal's scales rippled in surprise. And they didn't react. Oh, they reacted. They just did it so slowly and carefully that we never noticed. Each piece of their defense network was positioned over years. Each technological advance was revealed bit by bit. They knew we were coming, and they spent 2 decades preparing, all while making it look like they were going about their normal development. Zextal walked to the viewing window, watching the stars. The Empire had encountered thousands of civilizations, but none had ever shown this level of patience and planning. None had ever seen them coming and chosen to wait, prepare, and strike only when they had every advantage. Sir, Miralyn asked, what do we do? All our invasion protocols assume we're dealing with civilizations that don't know about us until we reveal ourselves. But the humans, they've been watching us, studying us, preparing for us. They know more about us than we know about them. Zextal's response was quiet but firm. We do the one thing the Empire has never done before, researcher Miralyn. We admit that we might not be the most advanced civilization in this encounter. Admiral Zextal stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching as 5 Imperial battlecruisers moved into formation. After 3 days of debates with his officers, he had decided to test Earth's capabilities. Not with a full attack. He wasn't that foolish, but with a small battle group that could retreat quickly if needed. Battle Group Sigma, begin your approach, he ordered. Remember, this is a test only. Do not fire unless fired upon. The 5 ships, each nearly 1 kilometer long, moved forward smoothly. Their black hulls gleamed in the sunlight as they passed Mars, its red surface watching silently below them. Lieutenant Vex monitored their progress from his station. Sir, no response from Earth yet. Their satellites appear to be functioning normally. No weapons detected. Keep watching, Zextal said quietly. They're there. They're just waiting. The battle group crossed Mars' orbit. Nothing happened. They passed the asteroid belt. Still nothing. Maybe we were wrong, one of the junior officers suggested. Maybe they're not as advanced as we. The officer never finished his sentence. Without warning, every ship in the battle group suddenly stopped moving. Their engines were still running, but they weren't going anywhere. Report, Zextal demanded. Sir, Vex's voice was shaking. All 5 ships report their quantum drives have stopped working. Something turned them off. Just the quantum drives. Everything else is working fine. Zextal's antenna twitched rapidly. How? How do they disable just the quantum drives without affecting any other systems? The answer came a moment later as their sensors detected a wave of precisely targeted quantum pulses coming from Earth's orbital network. Each pulse had hit each ship's quantum drive with perfect accuracy. "Message from Earth, sir," the communications officer announced. The main screen lit up, showing a simple text message. "As you can see, we could have destroyed your ships. We chose not to. Your quantum drives will reactivate once your ships retreat past Mars orbit. We look forward to meeting at the coordinates we provided." Zextal watched as his mighty battle group hung helpless in space. The humans had just shown they could disable their most advanced technology with surgical precision. No wasted energy, no collateral damage, just perfect targeting that left the ships alive but harmless. "Sir," Vex said quietly, "I've analyzed the quantum pulses. They came from the debris field. All those pieces of space junk we detected. They're not just sensors. They're weapons. Very, very precise weapons." Zextal nodded slowly. "And they showed us just enough to prove their point. They could have destroyed the ships, could have killed everyone on board. Instead, they chose to demonstrate their power without taking a single life." He turned to his crew, seeing the shock on their scaled faces. The Empire had never encountered anything like this. Their ships, some of the most advanced in the galaxy, had been disabled as easily as turning off a light. "Battle Group Sigma, retreat past Mars orbit," he ordered. As the ships slowly backed away using their conventional engines, Zextal thought about what he had just witnessed. The humans hadn't just beaten their technology. They had outthought them completely. Sure enough, as soon as the ships crossed Mars orbit, their quantum drives came back online. Everything worked perfectly, as if nothing had happened. But everything had changed. "Set course for the meeting coordinates," Zextal commanded, "and send a message to Earth." Message received. "We understand now. We will meet as equals." As his ship turned to leave the solar system, Zextal realized that today marked a historic moment. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Empire had met a civilization that didn't need to prove its power through destruction. Earth had won without firing a single shot. The meeting room aboard the neutral space station was simple but elegant. On one side sat Admiral Zextal and his senior staff. On the other side sat 3 humans, 2 women and 1 man. The humans had introduced themselves as representatives of Earth's Defense Council, an organization whose existence had been kept secret for over 50 years. Sarah Chen, the older of the 2 women, placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram showing the disabled Imperial battle group from their recent encounter. "We recovered quite a bit of data from your ships during their brief visit," she said with a slight smile. "Your quantum drives are impressive, but they have a fundamental weakness. One we discovered 43 years ago, when we first detected your scout ships." Zextal's scales rippled in surprise. 43 years. "But our records show no scout ships in your system that long ago." "Because we made them disappear," Michael Rodriguez, the male representative, explained, "just like we did with your recent probes. No destruction, no debris. We simply redirected them into a quantum pocket dimension. They're still there, perfectly preserved, if you'd like them back." The Admiral's antenna twitched rapidly. Creating pocket dimensions was theoretically possible, but the Empire had never managed to make it work safely. Yet these humans spoke of it as if it were routine. "How?" Lieutenant Vex asked. "How did you advance so far without anyone noticing?" The younger woman, Dr. Emma Thompson, opened a folder and spread out what looked like old newspaper clippings. "By making our failures more visible than our successes. Every time we made a breakthrough, we create a public failure to hide it. When we mastered quantum technology, we announced a failed particle accelerator experiment. When we developed dimensional folding, we blamed a missing research team on poor safety protocols. She pointed to various headlines. Science project fails. Research funding cut after poor results. Space mission delayed. Each failure had hidden a major success. But why? Zextal asked. Why hide your achievements? Sarah Chen's expression grew serious. Because 50 years ago, we detected your first scout ship. We also intercepted communications from your empire. We learned how you operate, finding civilizations just as they discover faster than light travel, then conquering them at their most vulnerable moment. She pressed a button, and a hologram changed to show Earth's orbital defense network. So we decided to do something different. Instead of rushing to announce our discoveries, we hid them. Instead of building obvious weapons, we created defenses that looked like junk. We played the long game. The asteroid demonstration, Zextal said slowly. That wasn't new technology, was it? Michael Rodriguez shook his head. We developed that capability 15 years ago. The orbital network has had that power for a decade. Every piece of so-called space debris is actually a quantum-linked weapons platform, sensor array, or defensive system. Dr. Thompson added, your battle group encountered just one small part of our capabilities. The quantum drive disruption was a warning shot, like showing the tip of an iceberg while keeping the rest hidden beneath the surface. The room fell silent as the Imperial officers processed this information. Their mighty empire, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, had been quietly outmaneuvered by a civilization they'd considered primitive. There's something else you should know, Sarah Chen said, standing up. We're not sharing this to threaten you. We're sharing it because we want to offer your empire something it's never had before, a genuine alliance, not based on conquest or submission, but on mutual respect and cooperation. She smiled at their surprised expressions. After all, if we could advance this far while pretending to be primitive, imagine what we could achieve together as equals. Zextal looked at his fellow officers, then back at the humans. For the first time in Imperial history, they weren't facing a civilization they needed to conquer. They were facing one they needed to understand. The Imperial Council chamber was in chaos. News of Earth's true capabilities had spread through the Empire's hierarchy. And now Admiral Zextal faced the angry questions of his superiors. The massive circular room, usually a place of quiet dignity, echoed with shouts and arguments. This is unacceptable. High Commander Drellick slammed his scaled fist on the table. We should launch a full assault immediately. Show these humans the true power of the Empire. And lose half our fleet. Zextal countered. You've seen the reports. They disabled 5 of our most advanced ships without harming a single crew member. That wasn't a show of their full power. It was a gentle warning. The chamber's holographic displays showed images from Earth, their orbital defense network, their hidden installations, and most worryingly, new structures that kept appearing as Earth dropped its disguise. Every hour, more of their true capabilities became visible. Sir, a young officer burst into the chamber. We're detecting new installations in deep space. The humans, they've had cloaked bases beyond their solar system for years. They're decloaking them now. The room fell silent as the new information appeared on the screens. Dozens of space stations, research facilities, and defense platforms appeared in neighboring star systems. All of them had been there for years, hidden and waiting. Impossible, someone whispered. No civilization could hide so much for so long. But the evidence was undeniable. Earth hadn't just prepared their own solar system. They had quietly expanded into nearby systems while maintaining their appearance of being a primitive planet-bound species. Suddenly, alarms blared through the chamber. On one of the Empire's conquered worlds, a group of ships had broken away from the main fleet. Their commander, inspired by Earth's revelation, had decided to attack rather than wait. The rebel ships appeared on the main screen, charging toward Earth's solar system. Admiral Zextal held his breath, waiting for the destruction he knew would come. Instead, something remarkable happened. The rebel ships simply stopped. Not like before, with just their quantum drives disabled. This time, they completely froze in space, as if time itself had stopped for them. A message appeared on all Imperial screens. "We are containing this situation to prevent loss of life. Your crews are safe, just temporarily paused. We suggest you use this opportunity to consider your next actions carefully." High Commander Drellix's scales had turned pale. "They can stop time." "No," Zextal said quietly. "They're showing us another piece of their capabilities, like dealing with an angry child by holding their hand rather than striking them. They could have destroyed those ships. Instead, they chose to prevent violence without causing harm." More reports flooded in. Across the Empire, subjugated species were learning about Earth's successful resistance. Questions were being asked. If humans could advance in secret and stand up to the Empire, why couldn't they? "The Empire is fracturing," one of the council members said. "All because of one primitive planet that turned out to be not so primitive." Admiral Zextal stepped to the center of the chamber. "No, the Empire is changing because Earth showed us a different way. They could have built weapons to destroy us. Instead, they built defenses to protect themselves. They could have attacked us. Instead, they offered us partnership." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council member. "For centuries, we've believed that power comes from conquest. Earth has proven that true strength can come from patience, intelligence, and the choice to be peaceful despite having the capability for violence." The chamber grew quiet as his words sank in. The Empire faced a choice: continue their old ways and face a war they might not win, or embrace a new path, one that Earth had shown was possible. 1 year after Earth's revelation, the Great Hall of the new Galactic Council looked very different from the old Imperial Chamber. Instead of just Imperial officers, representatives from Earth and formerly subjugated worlds sat together around a circular table. Admiral Zextal, now serving as the Chief of Diplomatic Relations, couldn't help but smile at the change. Sarah Chen stood at the center of the hall, presenting Earth's latest proposal. Behind her, a hologram showed the new defensive shield technology that Earth was offering to share with all worlds. "This shield system," she explained, "will protect each of your planets from any unauthorized quantum jumps or space-time manipulations. No one will be able to invade your worlds without permission again." A representative from one of the former conquered worlds raised his hand. "Why would Earth share such powerful technology? What do you want in return?" Michael Rodriguez stepped forward. "We want what we've always wanted, a peaceful galaxy where every civilization can develop without fear. We hid our advances because we had to. Now we'd rather share them openly." Dr. Emma Thompson added, "Earth's strategy was never about becoming the most powerful. It was about creating a balance where no single civilization could dominate others." Around the room, holographic screens showed the changes already taking place. The old Imperial conquest fleets were being converted into exploration and rescue ships. The weapons platforms that once threatened worlds were now protecting them. Earth's primitive space junk had inspired a new approach to defensive technology that focused on prevention rather than destruction. Admiral Zextal walked to the center to stand beside the Earth representatives. 1 year ago, I commanded a fleet meant to conquer Earth. Today, I'm helping them create something unprecedented, a galaxy where strength comes from cooperation, not conquest." He gestured to the various representatives. "Look at what we've achieved in just 1 year. 57 worlds have joined the new Galactic Council. Former enemies now work together on scientific projects. We've made more technological progress through sharing knowledge than we ever did through competition." The room's attention turned to a new hologram showing the latest project, a massive network of quantum communication relays that would allow instant communication between all member worlds. It was based on the same technology Earth had pretended didn't exist for decades. "But the greatest change," Sarah Chen said, smiling, "isn't in our technology. It's in how we think. Earth proved that appearing weak while being strong is better than appearing strong while being weak. We showed that patience and planning can overcome raw power." The representatives nodded in agreement. The old empire's way of conquest and control seemed primitive now, compared to Earth's strategic thinking and careful preparation. And so, Admiral Zextol concluded, what began with the Empire targeting Earth has led to something none of us expected. A true galactic civilization, not built on fear and conquest, but on mutual respect and shared knowledge. As the meeting ended, representatives from different worlds mingled freely, discussing joint projects and sharing ideas. The Empire's attempt to conquer Earth hadn't just failed. It had transformed the galaxy in ways no one could have predicted. Outside the hall's massive windows, ships from various worlds moved peacefully through space. Among them, pieces of Earth's old orbital defense network were being converted into teaching tools, showing other worlds how to build their own protective systems. Sarah Chen stood with Admiral Zextol, watching the ships. "You know," she said, "some might say humanity's greatest achievement wasn't our technology or our defenses." "Oh." Zextol's antenna tilted curiously. "What was it then?" She smiled. "Teaching the galaxy that the greatest power isn't in weapons or fleets. It's in having the patience to wait, the wisdom to prepare, and the courage to choose peace when you're strong enough for war."